full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. March on till victory is won.
Hi, I'm Terrence Tip.
I'm Stephanie Bush.
And together we rise. Today we're standing here at the casino ballroom. And can you tell us about why we're here, Stephanie?
Well, today is the Obama Day dinner. This is an annual event that our community and actually the Democratic Central Committee puts on each year. It's a great time for us to all come together and focus ideas on shared plans. Democratic Party's all about dreams. We talk about dreams and what we hope for the future.
And one thing that people don't know about the Democratic Party and why black people always vote Democrat. Well, we're here to tell you that black people vote Democrat because we got our right to vote through a Democratic president, which was Lyndon Baines Johnson. And once we got our right to vote back, we continued from that point on.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great piece of history to make sure everyone understands. You know, in a time we deal about which party to choose, which way to go, should we stay independent. It's good to have those little tips to understand what helps us to shape our future. If we don't know our past, then what?
We will never know our future.
That's all I'm saying.
Together, we rise.
Tonight is the celebration of the 6th annual Obama Day fundraising banquet that the East St. Louis Democratic Central Committee gives right around the time of President Obama's birthday, which in this case happens to be celebrated August 18th, 2 weeks after his birthday. We are celebrating this, first of all, to recognize the contributions of Democrats all over the world and to come together and really get inspired to move forward and move our community forward here in East St. Louis. That's it.
Sounds good.
Fan around.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How you doing? All right. Great. Rob, how you doing? What's going
and playing of our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Old Savior's dance of spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the
Please remain standing for the Black National Anthem, better known as Lift Every Voice and Sing. And welcome to the 6th annual Barack Obama fundraising banquet that is sponsored by. Don't just love that name of our 44th president. This is our 6th annual banquet. And as we get going, there are a couple things that we need to do because our time is short for one of the people that we want to especially recognize tonight. But I'm going to ask that you just bear with me for just a second as I introduce our head table for the evening. First of all, you'll hear much more about these individuals a little bit later. There's the gentleman who is the co-founder and our 6-year chairman, our 20-year school board president of the East St. Louis School District number 189, that courageous leader of man, Lonzo Greenwood. Next to him is the lady that I affectionately call Mrs. Chairman, Barbara Greenwood. Sitting to her right is a young man who's been in the trenches a long time and just got tapped on the shoulder to be appointed to the East St. Louis City Council. He doubles as one of our committeemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Powell III. My extreme right, your left, is a gentleman who has been a committeeman for a long time, is a 20-year school board member. He is now the president of School District number 189, none other than Kenneth Williams Sr. This next gentleman is a native East St. Louisan who now resides in Belleville. He's been on the bench a long time and now is the leader. He is the chief judge of all the judges of St. Clair County. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Andrew Gleason. This next young lady just runs and runs and runs and runs.
That's right.
State representatives have to run all the time. Former East St. Louis City Councilwoman, now our state representative of the 114th District, the lovely and talented LaToya Greenwood.
There it is.
Finally, we have a gentleman who has been our circuit clerk. He's a long-time piece of commitment. He has been serving as our state's attorney about economic justice, social justice, criminal justice, all being handled the right way. Our candidate for United States Congress, the Honorable Brendan F. Kelly. And last but not least, I'm Alvin Parks. We call for the welcome and occasion. But before we get into the full welcome and occasion, we recognize the fact that this gentleman has been married a long time. And he told me, I can't get divorced for you, Alvin. He has a wedding anniversary that he must celebrate tonight. And we gotta let this gentleman get out the door.
Okay.
Before I introduce him, I want to make sure that you know our chairman, Lonzo Greenwood, came with a unique concept about 5 years ago. When he said, first of all, let's have the Obama Day dinner. But second, in 2013, Mr. Greenwood said, we need to recognize some people from East St. Louis who haven't forgotten where they're from.
All right.
We need to recognize people who not only haven't forgotten, but show their love for East St. Louis as often as they can. So this year, our chairman, in his quiet but very powerful way, said to me, Alvin, we need to recognize the gentleman who has been our state's attorney, the gentleman who has been our county board chairman, the gentleman who has been the chief judge of St. Clair County, and has just been an absolute bull by the horns kind of a taker, who is always standing in the gap for East St. Louis. He's on the back door right now. I want him to come up front. He is the one and only hardest working man in politics that I've ever seen and public service, the Honorable John Barasiewicz. John, we want you to know that this award is being given to you from the chairman, Lonzo Greenwood, chairman of the East St. Louis Democratic Central Committee, on behalf of the entire Democratic Central Committee. Well, Mr. Greenwood is the person who made this pick. We 100% unanimously agree that John Barasiewicz is worthy of the Chairman's Award for 2017. You know that you're going to heard, John. Our special token of our appreciation is coming to you later, but we'd like to give you the opportunity to say just a little something to our audience. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who's absolutely worthy of our recognition. John Barasiewicz.
Thank you to all of you. When I first ran for office in 1980, I've had massive support from the city of East St. Louis. One of the first precincts I walked was General Moore's in the old St. Patrick's area, and everybody here ever since has been supportive of me, so I could be supportive of you. I could spend all night saying what I think of everybody in this room. It's just suffices to say it's easy to support folks from East St. Louis because they're good folks.
All right.
Thank you.
And as he exits to go meet his wife, Marty, we just want you to know, John Barasiewicz didn't stop serving East St. Louis when he stopped serving as a judge. He's still standing in the gap for East St. Louis. John, thanks again. Just to give you a little bit more insight on what this event is and why we're here, we need to come together, first of all, as Americans. We love the United States of America, and right here in East St. Louis, we are some of the most patriotic people you will ever meet. So we decided that we need to get together and just celebrate America. And then we're proud of being Democrats. We don't apologize for being Democrats. We stand typically in East St. Louis with about 90 to 95% of the turnout coming as Democratic here in this community. In fact, we can remember that in 2012, when President Obama was running for re-election here in East St. Louis, he got almost 13,000 votes to Mitt Romney's 90. He got 99.2% of the vote in East St. Louis, with one of the highest percentage voter turnouts that this community has ever seen, with what was registered as being 63%, but it was really more like 85. And I say that because there were people on the rolls who really weren't in East St. Louis anymore. That is the kind of thing that made us say we really need to come up with an event that will always be known in honor of our 44th president. Our 44th president has made us proud because he broke a glass ceiling. Many people that I've talked with said, whoever would have thought that we would have a president who is African American in this country. But President Obama was the perfect presidential candidate.
There it is.
He made us proud. And the other part of that is that even on the views we might have had that were different from his, he carried himself with honor, with dignity, with a certain level of character and moral standing that the world should follow. That is so important. And I think what's really funny is watching someone who's the absolute opposite of that. Standing as our 45th president, who picks and chooses when he's going to call some out who might be exhibiting bad behavior. Versus President Obama, who just stood on what was right and stood with character every time he stood. So that is why this banquet is proudly called the Obama Fundraising Banquet. But also, it gives us the opportunity to say to you, those who have brought checks and cash tonight, thank you.
All right.
Because you can't be in politics without some finance. And this fundraising banquet helps to strengthen the East St. Louis Democratic Central Committee so that we can continue to go out and help good Democrats get elected and help lead this world, help lead this community, help lead this state. So there's no secret about what we're trying to get done. Last but not least, it gives us the opportunity to showcase the individuals who represent this community. You see Raymond Kelly in the newspaper, and you see the statements that he has, because nothing like when he and LaPorta Greenwood will get up to represent what he really stands for, face-to-face, hand-to-hand, heart-to-heart tonight. We need to make sure that our East St. Louis community gets the opportunity to meet elected officials. Not just see them in the newspaper, not just hear them on the internet. We need to see them, and they come down and they're part of it. So that is what our welcome and occasion is. We welcome you tonight. We're going to have a ball. There's some things you've never seen before that you're going to see tonight. And we'll get into that a little bit later. And you see the statements that he has, because nothing like when he and LaPorta Greenwood will get up to represent what he really stands for, face-to-face, hand-to-hand, heart-to-heart tonight. We need to make sure that our East St. Louis community gets the opportunity to meet elected officials. Not just see them in the newspaper, not just hear them on the internet. We need to see them, and they come down and they're part of it. So that is what our welcome and occasion is. We welcome you tonight. We're going to have a ball. There's some things you've never seen before that you're going to see tonight. And we'll get into that a little bit later. With no further ado, you can't do anything without God on your side. Nothing whatsoever. I'm going to bring this dynamo forward, who has led National Night Out with her organization, Community Development Sustainable Solutions, who has led the Juneteenth celebration here in St. Louis for the past couple of years. She is now the appointed precinct committee woman as precinct number 2. She is none other than Stephanie Bush. Ms. Bush will lead us in our invitation. Stephanie?
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, the St. Louis Township Supervisor. As I look out on everyone, I want you to reflect as I say a prayer. This is a place of dreams and a place of hope being in this room tonight. Dear God, I ask you to shine a light down on us. More than that, Lord, I ask that you send your Holy Spirit just as you said you will. We wait in anticipation, Father, and ready to move on your words. As a team, as a community, as a diverse group of individuals who want change, Lord, we welcome your guidance and we welcome your strength. We ask that you touch the hearts of everyone who decided to show up tonight, Lord, and we ask that you send them home with a packaged message just for them in the route that you would like them to move to support the Democratic Central Committee, to support our country, to support East St. Louis, St. Clair County. We ask that you take a look upon each one of these leaders sitting at this table and understand that it was not easy to get here. But I thank you for being the wind beneath their wings. And as Kahala Clay says, hey, if you want to soar with birds, you got to fly with eagles. And that is what we do, Lord, and I just thank you right now. I thank you all for being here, and I send blessings out from up above for us all. And Lord, one last thing, we are about to eat some wonderful food. We thank the Casino Queen. We thank you for having the food, and Lord, we ask that you bless it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Good. Oh, man, we got to get this show going now. All right. Are you ready? Okay. But as we prepare to move into the keynote address, we've got a musical selection that I think is right on point for what we're doing in the United States of America. One of the things that we know we need to focus on is bringing along the young people in a quality way. We've got some young men, 14, 15, 16 years old tonight, who are just absolutely dynamite. They're being brought by Studio 618 and Mr. Clint Collins and Deontay Perriman and the rest of that team. We've got a musical selection from Lil Ralph and Jay Bird. And this is an original composition that Mr. Clint Collins wrote and prepared for the times we're living in. Mr. Clint, are you ready to go? Let's go. Lil Ralph and Jay Bird.
All right. How you doing, guys? How y'all doing? Y'all make some noise in the house tonight, y'all. Make some noise. Gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Lil Ralph and Jay Bird.
Hey, how y'all? My name is Lil Ralph, that's Lilralph. Y'all can look me up on YouTube and Facebook. I want to thank Mr. Parks for having us out today. Now this song that we singing today, well, I'll be singing, this song we wrote for one of our friends from the East Side. See, what happened was she had committed suicide because people was bullying her, and just, you know. So I want to introduce Jay Bird.
How y'all doing tonight? All right.
Check. Oh, is it okay if I check the mic for you?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
I was born by the river, all the little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming. Oh, a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. We ready. Can I tell y'all a story? Can I tell you a story about a friend I know? That's what I tell. This friend's gone. She was dealing with some demons and no one really seemed to notice that something was wrong. Since living nowadays, I can't fight the day. to push on. Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, cause I'm only human. But for you, when I need someone to talk to, see the light for its death right now, you gotta choose. About the dark valleys alone, I have to walk through. Never hit it back, woman, you can choose to lose. You ain't been where I've been, and you ain't say what I say, and you ain't done what I done, so who are you to judge? Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I can't. I'm only human. This is girl named Kelly, she real smart, she like to go to school, she ain't had a test score, so she never really go cool, she ain't never fit in. Her daddy, he ain't turn for her, her mama never turn for her, ain't nobody there for her, ain't nobody by her side, every day she feel abuse, so one day she got fed up and took the left side of her shoe. I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. See, a couple months ago, Kelly got diagnosed with cancer, she fighting it by herself, she keep praying without no answers. Every day she go to school, the kids like to torture her, don't nobody understand, she keep on popping those eggs back to back, day and day, every night she just wanna take a pill, she just wanna take her life. Well, I need your help, I can't make it by myself, I'm only human. I'll tell you a story about a friend I know, with a heart that's pure as gold. It's pure as gold. She was dealing with some demons and no one really seemed to notice that something was wrong. She says, living nowadays, I can't fight in vain. You have to push on. Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. So what were you when I needed someone to talk to? See the light for its death right now, you gotta choose. What about the dark valleys alone I have to walk through? You ain't been where I've been, and you ain't say what I say, and you ain't done what I done, so who are you to judge? Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. This is girl named Dee, she keep thinking okay, but every time she goes wrong, slapping her sister, cause she high off drugs, and her brother is so like she acting a fool. In my day, she going to school, she thinking okay, just to get rid of her pain, but in reality, they don't do the same thing. Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. You see, Dee got some demons, she can't let out of her closet. Every day her mama worships, she really works, got your own story all about it. Every day somebody popping, it's always about topping and selling to make a profit. You see, Dee real smart too, but got a lot of power, she can't get it under control, ain't no problem in her time. Plus who needs your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. So where were you when I needed someone to talk to? Where was you, where was you, where was you? What about the dark valleys alone I had to walk through? By myself, with no one else. Well, I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. I said I need your help, I can't do it by myself, I'm only human. So where were you when I needed someone to talk to? See the light for its death right now, you gotta choose. What about the dark valleys alone I had to walk through? It's a never-ending battle, woman, you can choose to lose. You ain't been where I've been, and you ain't say what I say, and you ain't done what I done, so who are you to judge? Well, she needs your help, she can't do it by herself, I'm only human.
And they know how to deliver that message. Right. Thank you again, Lou Ralph and Jay Herb. Now we're down to that point. We're about to hear a keynote address. But before we get into the keynote address, I do know that there have been a couple of other elected officials who have arrived. I did see the mayor of Washington Park come in. Is Mayor Thomas still in the house? He came and went. Okay. Well, we had a shout out for Washington Park. Shout out. Also want to mention, before we move into hearing from our state representative and our state attorney, that over the past few weeks, we had the loss of one of our community's icons, former township supervisor Ann Jordan, who is also the widow of former township supervisor, school board president, Mr. Clyde Jordan. Their granddaughter is in the house this evening, Ms. Elizabeth Sampson. Please let your mom and her sister and her brother and the rest of your family know that we're still praying for you and the entire Jordan family. Now we're at that point that you're about to hear from a young lady who's been blazing a trail of visibility in the greater East St. Louis community. This young lady is a homegirl, a native of East St. Louis, who is serving us admirably and courageously and in a steadfast way in Springfield, Illinois. She's very, very visible, coming up with new and creative ways to get the messages out that our seniors, our young people, and everybody in between need to be represented by. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the state representative for the 114th District of the State of Illinois to bring our keynote speaker, the Honorable Latoya N. Greenwood.
Good evening. So Little Ralph said it best when he said, saying, a change is going to come.
Amen.
And our change is going to come with our candidate for U.S. Congress, and that's Brendan F. Kelly.
All right.
Brendan is the son of lifelong public servants who served in the Department of Defense supporting our military and veterans. The Kellys were transferred to Scott Air Force Base, and Brendan has proudly called Southern Illinois home for more than 3 decades. With the help of a Navy ROTC scholarship, Brendan attended the University of Notre Dame, earning a degree in government and international relations, and earning a commission as an officer in the United States Navy. Brendan served our country around the world. In Israel, he witnessed firsthand the roots of the Middle Eastern conflict, where terrorism remains a constant threat. After receiving a law degree from St. Louis University, Brendan served as an assistant state's attorney. In 2010, Brendan became the state's attorney for St. Clair County. Brendan strengthened the law enforcement functions of the state attorney's office, creating a new violent crime unit and revolutionizing the prosecution of domestic assault cases. He created a children's justice division to prosecute crimes against children and fought to eliminate the statute of limitations on child sexual assault. Representing St. Clair County, he successfully sued several of the nation's biggest banks for fraudulent, secretive mortgage recording, forcing the banks to be transparent and accountable. He also was the first state's attorney in Illinois to file suit against big pharmaceutical manufacturers for maximizing profits by deceiving patients about the dangers of certain prescribed opioids. And Brendan has taken a tough stance against public corruption, compiling a long list of prosecutions of members of both parties. Brendan is married to Joanne, a nurse and blood and marrow transplant coordinator at St. Louis University Hospital, who grew up in Southern Illinois as an Air Force brat. They are the proud parents of Zach and Ona. Personally, I have known Brendan for many years, starting with the young St. Clair County Young Democrats, going way back. And what I can say about him is that upon entering into this life of being an elected official, there are 2 people that always call me first with encouraging words and congratulations. And he is one of those people. Brendan is also the first person that I met with after being elected as city councilwoman for the city of East St. Louis And he talked about issues that we could partner on at that time. Even invited me to do a ride along, which I have yet to take him up on. He was the first person I met with after being elected as state representative for the 114th district in his office, along with the chiefs of police from Belleville and Granite City. And we talked about the Redeploy Illinois initiative, a program that he spoke passionately about, which provides services to youth who are at high risk of commitment to the Department of Juvenile Justice. Whether it is fighting local crimes, public corruption, big pharmaceutical, or informing us of the opioid crisis that is ravaging families in St. Clair County and throughout the state, Brendan is at the forefront. I am honored to be here this evening to introduce our state's attorney and our next U.S. Congressman for the 12th District of Illinois, Brendan Kelly.
No, not good.
No, I can't sing like that. Or rap either. I'm very taken aback by that introduction. I really appreciate that. Latoya has really made an impression in the General Assembly in Illinois. I was just in Springfield earlier this week, and people where I go, I talk to them, they know who Latoya Greenwood is. And they know she cares about East St. Louis. So it means a lot to me to hear her personally and to share her views on what's going on. And she understands how important this race is. I will tell you, I had a speech written. I had a speech written earlier this week. I knew I'd be coming here to speak to people that I've known for many years, people that I love and respect, people that I've been around and got to know over these many years since I've been state's attorney, and before that, working for Why Better Young. That was my first job when I got out of the Navy, working as state representative by Better Young.
All right.
So my first foray, my first step into the world of politics here in the Democratic Party started right here in East St. Louis.
All right.
Let me just talk to you a little bit first about the state of the race, okay? And why this is so incredibly important, why this matters. Why would anybody in their right mind want to run for Congress, okay? You gotta be a little crazy to want to do this. Now let me tell you what moved me and why this is so important and why all of you here and why East St. Louis is going to be so incredibly important to what's going to happen in this country. This is a district that goes from Alton all the way down to Cairo, okay? This is a district that has been represented by Democrats for decades. But in this last election cycle, this district was won by Donald Trump. But let me tell you, this district was also won by Senator Tammy Duckworth, who came here to speak to all of you, a great Democrat. She won this district by 9 points in the same election. In the same election. So you got to ask yourself, the same people that voted for who our president is now also voted overwhelmingly for a Democrat, Senator Tammy Duckworth. We have to listen to that. We've got to hear that. We've got to ask ourselves some questions why that is as Democrats. We've got to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves some tough questions. And I'm sure like many of you over the past few months, I did the same thing. I've done the same thing. I'm going to ask myself some tough questions. There's a great movie, one of my favorite movies is The Untouchables. And there's a great line in there when Sean Connery says, "What are you prepared to do?" And we all got to ask ourselves, what are we prepared to do? And so as I've gone around as I threw my hat over the wall, as I made that decision, that I was prepared to do this, that I was prepared to be away from my wife and kids and spend a lot of time at our nation's capital and campaigning. As I made that decision, as I realize what all of you are realizing now, we all are realizing together that there are things that are deeply, deeply wrong in the country. There are some great and wonderful things in this country, there always have been, but there are some things that you can feel in your gut, that you can feel in your heart are deeply, deeply wrong. And that helped me to make the decision to run. And as I've gone around this district, which is a very diverse district, we've got urban areas, we've got rural areas, we've got suburban areas, we've got everything, good, bad, and ugly in America, we got right here in the 12th Congressional District. And I find that to be pretty exciting. I find that to be a very good thing. This is a district that is going to be very competitive. We got a lot of blue, blue, blue districts that always stay blue. We got a lot of red, red, red districts that always stay red. This is a place where we get to make our case to the public. We get to make our case to the voters as to why the Democratic Party is the party that they should be supporting. This is an exciting opportunity for us. And the reality is that this district, if we win here, you just do the math. If we win here in the 12th Congressional District, if all of us win together, then the House will be a Democratic House. That's all it comes down to. So the fate of the nation will be decided here. And let me just tell you, as I've gone around, and I've seen the issues of how opioids are devastating and drugs are devastating our communities. It is everywhere. It is not just in urban areas, it is in rural areas. Poverty is everywhere. People are struggling everywhere. And you can see that our roads and our bridges and people that are unemployed, they need work to do. And we've got plenty of work to do because we literally have to rebuild our roads and our bridges. And we know we got a police station we got to rebuild.
That's right.
But we've got to rebuild. And we also know that people's trust in government is low. People's trust in our public institutions. We don't trust anybody anymore.
Yeah.
We don't trust government. We don't trust media. We don't trust corporations. We don't trust, in some ways, we don't even trust our churches some days.
That's right.
We don't trust professional athletes because we all think they're juicing. We all think they're taking steroids and cheap. Our trust in the things that have been important to us for decades is at an all-time low. And that is a very, very dangerous thing. So we literally, in this jurisdiction, and literally in this country, we literally have to rebuild the structures that we go to work on and rebuild our local jobs. We literally have to rebuild our families because of the opioid crisis. We have to rebuild our trust in one another. Well, look, that's the campaign speech, all right? You all are going to work. You all are going to go vote Democrat, okay? We know that. You wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. So I don't need to give you the campaign speech, all right? That's why the speech I had read, I just decided, I'm not going to give that speech. You're going to hear it on TV, you're going to hear it in the robocalls and on Facebook, you're going to hear that, okay? You're going to hear me do it over and over and over. You're going to get sick of looking at my fat Irish face all the time. Trust me, you will. But after what happened this week, after what has been going on in this country this week, we need to do a little more than just a campaign speech, okay?
Tell it, yeah.
We need to have an adult conversation.
All right.
We need to look at each other in the eye and talk about what's going on. It was, I think, 9 years ago that we were in this very room. It wasn't called the Obama dinner then because he hadn't been elected president yet. But in this very room, and I was running for circuit clerk when Barry Gunn was still alive. Many of you were here in this very room the night that President Obama accepted the nomination of the Democratic Party. He gave that amazing speech in Colorado to that full stadium. And we watched it on that screen right there. And there wasn't a dry eye in this house. And we were all so proud. We were all so excited. And then he got elected. And boy, did he have a tough job that he had to do.
Yes, he did.
He had the cards stacked against him the day he walked in the door.
Yep.
But he kept on going. He kept fighting. He had the greatest recession, nearly a depression, since the Great Depression. A huge challenge, a huge disaster that was left for him to deal with. 2 unfinished wars, really 3 if you count the war on terrorism, that he had to handle.
He had to go get Osama bin Laden, and he did it.
Right.
Yep.
He did it. He had to bring the economy out of the hole from where it was, and he did it. He did it. But man, there are a lot of things that weren't able to get done because there were a lot of people that were not living. A lot of people that pushed back against them. We know from history that every time you take 2 steps forward, there's always going to be a pushback. There's going to be 1 step. We got to know that. When our American troops were on their way to Berlin to defeat the Nazis, they got stopped in their tracks. They thought they had it in the bag, and they had the Battle of the Bulge, and the Nazis fought back. Eventually, they overcome them because they kept going. But we know every time there's that progress, there's going to be people pushing back.
That's right. True.
But boy, this has been a big pushback. What we're dealing with right now. This is a big pushback. And what happened after this week? We know that we have to respond to what we're seeing with absolute moral clarity.
Right.
There can be no equivocating. There can be no, well, this group is like this group and everybody's bad. No, we cannot equivocate. We must have moral clarity. And frankly, the response that we saw from those that did not have moral clarity, that gives us a lot of clarity.
Absolutely.
We know where people stand now. We know where people stand. They may say this or that, or this policy or that policy, but they have shown themselves at this point. We know who they are. And that's a hard thing to deal with. That was a hard thing to deal with. That is hard for us to have been here 9 years ago and seen so many amazing things happen. To see what President Obama did, just the fact that he got elected
Yes.
was an amazing thing.
Yes.
And then re-elected, an amazing thing. And all the things he was able to accomplish, that we were able to accomplish with him. Those are amazing things.
Right.
And it is tough now. It is hard to see where we are now. That can really hard. And it reminded me of something about the city of East St. Louis. And I wanted to, and normally I don't bring props, okay? I'm not Carrot Top or something, I'm not comedian in a clown. But there is something that I just wanted to share with you because it reminded me of something. But let me just show you what it is. It was 2 years ago when I was given a tour of the old East St. Louis Police Department. It's now the police are in the city hall now. There's an old building from the Roosevelt area that was built, beautiful building, that over time fell into disrepair. It was abandoned. And we went in there to tour it and see what had happened to it. People had broken into it. People had abused it. It was a place where justice was done. It was a place where people were protected. People could go when they had a problem. And it turned into something that had been literally torn apart. Evidence bags in there that had been broken apart, evidence of crimes, things that were important to bring justice to people, they were destroyed. There were animals in there that had ripped this beautiful building apart. And it reminded me of the time when we went in there. And we went into lots of different rooms. Some we had to push our way into. You've been in there, Chief. You know what the conditions were like in there. And we had to push our way into one room, and we eventually got into one room that was the chief of police's old room, where the chief had his desk. And in the midst of all this mess, in the midst of seeing how this thing had deteriorated, how something that had been built that was good had been torn down, we found laying on the back of the chief's chair this flag right here. Now it's in tough shape. It's not in good shape. But someone had taken the time to unfold it and to lay it down on the chief's chair. They took that time. But we found this, and I made sure that we boxed it up, we put it in an evidence box, and I've had it in my office for the past 2 years. It's the first time I've taken it out. I hope nobody's going to get me kind of George But there it is. There it is. And this flag looks like the way a lot of us feel right now. It's still there. It's still there. And someone cared enough to set it aside and preserve it, but boy, it is, it's taken a beating. It's taken a beating. And I think that is something that we can hold on to. And something that should make us stop and think. We need to look at what has happened this week and over the past few months, and over the past couple of years. And we need to express how we feel about it. We need to express the way we feel about our values as Americans. We need to express moral clarity. We need to speak out against the things that are hateful and awful and that have nothing to do with America.
Yes.
And reject something that should have been buried in the past a long, long time ago. But let me tell you something, East St. Louis. It is not enough to just say something.
Right.
It is not enough to give a speech. It is not enough to issue a press release. It is not enough to have a press conference. It is not enough to send out a beautifully worded tweet expressing your anger at another tweet. That is not enough. That is not enough.
No.
Because the people that defeated Nazis in World War II, they didn't do it by having a press conference. They acted.
There you go.
And they risked their lives and they risked everything they had because that's what it was going to take to act.
All right.
The people that fought racism and segregation and all the terrible things that were in the South and in other parts of this country during the Civil Rights era, they didn't just do a press conference. They didn't just give a speech. They didn't just, give us another tweet, as I said. They acted.
Right.
And in many cases, they risked their lives. They did exactly what the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence said. They risked their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors. They put everything on the line. That is what we are going to have to do now.
Yes.
We have to act. People didn't show up last time. We took it for granted. We didn't show up. People didn't show up. Everything's going to be fine. No one's going to elect this guy. How can the same country elect this guy? Elect this guy?
That's right.
How is that possible?
Right.
We have to act. And I don't just mean act in outrage. We have to act in the sense that we've got to go out to our neighbors. We've got to talk to them. We've got to listen to them. We've got to hear them. We have to ask ourselves some tough questions. Why did that happen? What did we miss? What did we miss? How do we connect with those people that are our brothers and sisters in the same community we live in? How do we connect with them, and how do we bring this country back together? We have to act. We have to rebuild this country. We have to rebuild our families. We have to rebuild people's trust in government. But we have to rise up. We have to rise up and build. We have to act. We have to go to every door. We have to knock on every door. We have to call our friends and family. We have to go out and get more petitions and more signatures. We've got to give money to the people that we believe in. I know, because that's what it's going to take in my district to win. That's how you're going to do it. There's a flood of money coming into our democratic process, and the only way we can counter that is if people give, and they are part of that. Every little dollar adds up. You got to give $1, and you got to give one more. You got to call your friends. You got to call your family. You got to share things on Facebook. You got to come to events like this. And not just bring your fellow Democrats. You need to bring the people that are starting to be aware and wake up and realize what's going on. You need to bring them too. You've got to do that. You've got to do that. That's what it's going to take to win. That's what it's going to take to win. We have to rise up and build in East St. Louis. We have to rise up and build in Illinois. We have to rise up and build in this country. And if you send me to Congress to let me fight for you there, we're going to raise this flag over the city of East St. Louis. We're going to raise this flag over the city of Illinois. We're going to raise this flag over this country. People don't believe in us. We're coming to serve anybody in this country. Not just the powerful few. Not just the powerful few. And when I say the fate of the nation will be decided right here in East St. Louis, that is no joke. There are literally more voters in East St. Louis and Canteen Township and Centerville Township than there are in half the counties that I'm running. And if we win this district, we win the House, and then we are able to save this country.
All right.
I am glad that the fate of the nation will be decided here. There's a young lady who goes to a church here in East St. Louis, and what she said to me was that the sun may set in the west, but it rises in the east. All right, all right. So this person is flying, and this time was good.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our next U.S. Congressman.
All right, I'm here with these two lovely ladies at the Obama Day dinner, and y'all know my name. I'm Terrence Taylor of Community Development and Sustainable Solutions. But I'd like to introduce you to Miss Kim Greenwood here. Can you tell us about what kind of time you had today?
Awesome time. I was just in the nice to come out and see Congressman Kelly and talk about the shift in political affairs in Washington and just speaking about leading with a moral cause, because we here in the USA, East St. Louis and all around, we definitely need to lead with that moral compass so we can bring back the real good USA.
Leave it to a teacher from District 189 to wrap it up so eloquently, and you are true. That is very true. That's coming from me, Precinct 2, Stephanie Bush.
All right.
Gonna do what it do, baby.
All right. Innovate East St. Louis. There we go.
Oh, wow. I mean, what can I say? This was a great evening. We all had a wonderful time. And as usual, the Democratic Party, we came together because it's all about hope. It's all about dreams. But before we left, I wanted to have a few more words here with Brendan Kelly, our attorney on the St. Clair County level. And he happens to be running for office, for Congress. So he made a wonderful speech today. So I just wanted him to wrap it up. What you thought about it?
That was great. I've been at this dinner for many years now. I was at the first one in 2008 when President Obama was running, and we were here to listen to his nomination. He accepted the nomination to run for president. And it was a good time, especially what's going on in the world, for all of us to come together, remember what this country is really about, remember that the things that separate us are much, much smaller than the things that bring us together. So I think it was a good evening for me. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And I know we're dealing with some issues here with opioids and whatnot in our community. And East St. Louis as well, you know, we have drug issues all over. So just to know that you're on that level to help combat that makes us feel a lot better. You made a point about us getting involved. Don't just do speeches, but actually do something.
I think it's important for all of us not just to send something on Twitter or Facebook or change our Facebook profile or just make a speech or just be angry. You gotta do something. You gotta try to change things for the better. It's making conscious choices to act and get involved in the community, show up at the points where they're going to show up. A lot of that's voting. A lot of things are impacting on our lives. The decisions are made at a higher level. You gotta get out there. You have the ability to change that tremendous.
You are an action verb.
That's right. That's right. Good deal, my brother. Good deal. Hey, you got our vote. All right. Thank you. All right.